Behind the Ramble is proudly sponsored by Glasby Pallets. They're offering a one-stop solution for all of your pallet needs. Get in touch on 01709 585 646 to discuss your pallet requirements. Thank you to Sonny and the team at Glasby Pallets for all their support of Behind the Ramble.
Coops here. Subscribe to Behind The Ramble. Keep following, and all the best.
The Puhauser.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I'm, of course, not Jimmy. I'm Dave. But this is Hot Topic, a show where ramblers get to discuss whatever's on their minds with Sheffield United, maybe one or two other things as well. So without further ado, I don't want to sit here and talk to you on my own. Let's bring in tonight's guests. So first up, we've got Gaz. How are we doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. How's you?
I'm all right, pal. I'm just going to add everyone else in now. So Lewis is next. Evening, mate. How are we doing?
We're doing.
All right. Clarky, good to see you again.
You too, buddy. How are you?
And the first time on the Ramble, it's Charly. Welcome.
Hello,
how are we doing?
Hi, fine, thank you.
Evening.
And last but not least, Victoria Jamie Dumpling. Hi,
Good
Jake.
evening.
How are we all doing? So, as per usual, keep it nice and relaxed. So, first thing I just want to ask you to kick it off is obviously it's been a little bit of time now since Wilder departed. How are we all feeling about it? So, who wants to go first? Anyone?
I'll
Come on, guys. Start us off.
I'll kick us off. Feeling at the point now where I think I'm starting to accept it and move on. To kind of get behind Sayers, and I mean it helps. Doing a lot of reading about him and watching videos and interviews that he's done and getting a feel for who the man is, how he's going to lead the team next season does make you feel a little bit better, a little bit more optimistic. We'll be talking about Wilder for years, won't we? But I think once the dust settles, and as long as we start the season well and win some games, I think that'll win people over quickly, and will help other blades move on quicker as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. Does anyone have a sort of differing opinion? Anyone still concerned?
Not particularly concerned. I mean, ultimately, you can't do anything about it, can you? It's happened. You just got to move on. I'm cautiously optimistic for the future. This just could turn out to be the greatest appointment United's ever made. You never know. I've got no crystal ball. I can't predict the future, and I'm not going to get et up or whinge or cry about what's happened because I can't change anything.
I kind of mirror that, really. I think it's if you'd gone to me a couple of days after the playoff final and said, should we let Chris Wilder go? I would have said no. And I probably, even up to the point where until it was officially confirmed, I would have said no. I think it was best to have that continuity to then move forward and build on what the foundations that have been built over last season. But I hear the views there. It's very much, can't do anything about it. It's done. It's happened. He'll always be a legend at the Lane. I hear Jimmy's views and other people's views that I think he's the best Sheffield United manager we've ever had. But now we're into a new chapter. So let's get on to it and let's go with Sayers and just look forward to the new season and what that might bring, because you never know. We might be saying the same thing about him in 3 years' time when we've qualified for Europe. Optimistic and all that. You know what I mean?
Love it. We've got to be. So, Charlie, what did you think?
I was reading some of the stuff that the press had been doing recently, and there was a good article that was in actually Sky Sports. They were talking about how his career has panned out and how he'd started off in Spain and got all the way through to Greece and Azerbaijan and places like that. And the fact that I think it's on his right arm, he's got it all tattooed, his journey across he's playing, well, he didn't play for long, did he? But his managerial coaching career is actually tattooed on his right arm. There's a map, and he's got stars at either end for his children, and there's a crown on the top of it for his wife. But it just shows you the sort of loyalty he's got. I think he was saying something like a lion on the back for when he does achievements. He wants to put things in place and remember them. So he's obviously a man that really does some deep thinking about this stuff. Yeah. So I am personally not that worried about him or what he's coming in. The article in the Sky Sports was absolutely brilliant, talking about how he will make this a team to stay and be in the Premiership, Premier League, sorry. And he was talking about, at the moment we're at a certain level, which isn't good enough to do that. I am going to ensure that we are going to get to that level and stay there. And I just thought that really got me. It really, like, this man means business. So yeah, I'm quite happy.
I need to find that. I love the sound of that. It's brilliant. Do you reckon, Jay, you've obviously, and I've heard your sort of opinions on him going, but have you settled down now, and how are you feeling?
Yeah, you definitely settled down. I think when Wilder went, a lot of it were just a straight reaction. Pardon me. It weren't really anything thoughtful, like you thought, like looking into Sayers or like that. It was just sort of like, Wilder's gone, why has this happened, why has that happened? You didn't really know information. It was just a general reaction, and it were most of panic from people, what's going to happen next, especially with the fact for a long time we didn't actually know who were coming in. And I think now that Sayers has come in, it's said not only to United's official channels, but also to local press like The Star, Radio Sheffield, that kind of thing. And we've seen what kind of manager he is. He's attacking, he's loyal, he speaks very well. We see what he is like now. And I think a lot more people are starting to come round to it. You'll obviously have your diehard Wilderites that will just, even if he wins the Champions League in some multiverse where that would happen, whatever it is, they'd still say, oh yes, it could have been Wilder though. But I think the more you look into the man, the better you feel about him. So we've just got to play by ear, see pre-season, and even then it could be a terrible pre-season, then we win the league on 110 points from it. So, but yeah, just enjoy it.
I don't know if I expect a great pre-season, to be fair. I think it's going to be a lot of him trying to implement his own philosophy and ideas, and there's no doubt going to be 2 or 3 new players coming in, probably more, and bedding them in. So I would be very surprised if we come, firing out the blocks in pre-season. I suppose as long as we start in August in the right way, we'll be all right. Are you going to any of the pre-season friendlies? No, you are,
single one.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get to some. And I think what you just said as well, Dave, is one of the fears, isn't it, about whether he needs that time to build up his playing philosophy and get that over to the players. I mean, we know with Wilder, I think it would be difficult for even someone that was, wasn't pro Wilder to argue we wouldn't be in a strong position next season, or we wouldn't likely be in a strong position. We'd be in the mix. I think we all feel, and certainly in the Platinum chat, most of us feel that we'd be in the mix next season. Is it going to take Ruben a bit of time? I mean, a lot of the stuff that comes over about him is he's very adaptable and adaptable in games. Change plan within games when the flow of things changes, but it might take him time to bed stuff in. And that's something, I guess, we might get a feel for over pre-season as we see the team shape up. But yeah, I'm planning to get to some games if I can, at least 1 or 2 of them, hopefully Chesterfield.
Yeah, same. Just going to read a few comments out before we move on. So, Brett, the positive blade, just going to say good luck, guys. Enjoy it and try and get David to admit it. I'm not admitting that. It's got to be Tangfastics all the way.
Tangfastics.
And good man. And I don't know who this guy is, but he's an absolutely correct on his choice of confectionery tonight.
I think he might have played under Wilder. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
He's not mentioned it if he asked. Yeah, Pete Campervan Trading says, no, don't mention Haribo. Well, we've got that out of the way nice and early anyway. So, Evening Ramblers, nice to see some new faces. Completely echo that. Some other guy, I don't know who he is. I forget him, don't I? Oh, dearie me. Evening Ramblers love this.
Look at really these trolls.
Yeah, I know. Where's my admin blocking him? Mark Meldrew. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Looking forward to the discussion. Apologies not on tonight. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up the...
Positive Meldrew.
Positive Meldrew.
Yeah.
He can't. He's not giving himself his own hashtag, has he? Oh, dear. And I'm not putting up the nose because that sounds horrendous. Nobody needs to.
Do I need to put on a Mark mask so that everything's still accurate and it looks like his ear?
I mean, if you've got one to hand, then go for it.
Jamie,
I'm not sure it'll make you look better.
Worried if you are.
Yeah, I've left mine upstairs, sadly. So I'm going to do that.
Too.
John says, evening all. Not very often on the live chat. Looking forward to it. Oh, he's back again. Andy's there. That's work when you're spelling, Jimmy. Never mind.
He has to say that, though, doesn't he? Let's be honest.
Well, he does, yeah, I suppose so.
Do you think he made me wear it, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, how much is he paying you?
Yeah. Backhander there.
Yeah.
So Ian says you've got to put your thing in landscape, but I'll let you off tonight because that's the least of my worries operating all for the first time. Lee, good luck tonight, everyone. Oh, now here we go. Hypothetical questions. This is what we like, Lee. Doing my job for me. I've seen this one on social media. Keep one. Hamer, Vinny, or Cooper. Who's going first? I think this is an easy one for me, but let's see if anyone has a different opinion.
Easy
Go on, who's
me.
first?
Cooper for me.
Totally agree.
Definitely Cooper.
Yeah.
That's 3.
I think I would have to agree. I want to say Gus, but I'd have to say Cooper.
No, every day Cooper. Every single day.
I think probably Cooper is hardest to replace. Gus, you can get similar type players, same with Vinny. Cooper, you're not getting close to this level.
Certainly not for the money we paid for him. And
No,
if you're going to sell
not even
it for a
close.
massive profit and have to spend it on another goalkeeper, why bother? Doesn't make any sense. But the next one's interesting. He's put sell one. Hamer, Vinny, or Cooper. So it's obviously not going to be Cooper because we're not going to say keep him and then say sell him straight afterwards. So are we going to have a split here? Because I think we might do. So who says Hamer?
Me.
Can I say
as much as I love him, you can't get 90 minutes out of him. Not that you can get 90 out of Vinny, to be fair, but you get a few more.
Can I propose it? Can I propose?
I think in Sayers' side, I think Vinny is going to be really important if you can keep hold of him.
Yeah, I can agree. I'd say Hamer as well. I think O'Hare can do bits of what Hamer can do. I really do. I don't think there's many people that could do what Vinny do when he's at his best. And you can say that about Hamer as well in certain degree, but I think Vinny's harder to replace. I really do.
I'm going to say Vinny just because we have got players like Blaster, Peck, even Hamer that can go into that midfield role. Not as deep as it or as well, but you got players like Abu Adams, for example, who are similar type of midfielders. Hamer is just that creative outlet that you just say to him, do what you want, win us the match, and he'll do it. A bit like Tarabe when he were at QPR, like Warnock did, just go and win us the match. So I think Vinny, you can get very similar type of players where it's just hard as nails, big player. But Hamer is just magic. I think that's the best way to describe the sort of players we've got.
I'm with James on that. I think Gus is impossible to replace. I don't think at this level there's anybody else. I think he's the best player in the division. I really do. I think he was last season. I think he will be next season as well.
Lewis, do you not think that from a perspective that when Vinny's not in the team, we struggle more than when Hamer's not in the team?
We did. I remember the period where he first got injured and we dropped, I think, Tom Davis in for him from memory. And we did miss him. We definitely miss him in the ground he covers and his physicality. But I think Jamie's right. There are potentially players out there. I just think he's a little bit more. They're all difficult players to replace. They're all key members of the squad, aren't they? But I think he's a bit more replaceable than Gus. I can't see another player out there that's like Gus. It's a difficult one. I don't want to lose any of them, to be honest.
You've got to bear in mind as well, Gaz. With Vinny, I don't even think when we had Chowdhury in, we had that like-for-like replacement. Him, we sort of did where it was like a sort of attacking midfielder, but you can play him on the left. We sort of had that with Brereton Diaz, Aware, that kind of thing. So you sort of could get that similar type of player, but Vinny, it was never that destroyer in the team. However, there were players like that in the market. We just didn't have them in the time, which is why we looked worse without Vinny. But with Hamer, we didn't look anywhere near as bad as we would have been if we didn't have a like-for-like replacement.
No, I get your point.
I'm going to go controversial opinion here, or view, that I see, and I don't think it's too many years off, I see Gus playing in a holding midfielder role for the rest of his career. I don't think he's got the leg yet. I know I said it was controversial. I don't think he's got the legs in him to play that wide 10, if you like. And I think he's got the ability to pull the strings on a game. And I think he'll end up playing as a partnership with someone who will just mop up, put those tackles in, and just give him the ball and let him do stuff.
He sort of did that.
Come on.
No, I was just going to say he did that role at Coventry pretty much. He was in that sort of like box-to-box / number 6 role where he had Ben Sheaf next to him. And Ben Sheaf is that type of player to just mop things up like Vinny Souza is. So he's probably going back to it. And while he's sort of got the legs at minute, it's the attacking role that suits him best.
I agree. I think the destroyer is the easier position to fill.
Yeah.
So I would sell Vinny of the 3.
No, that's fair. I don't think he can do box to box though. I don't think he's got his legs. I don't think he's got the legs to do box to box.
I don't think I would necessarily want him to go box to box. I can see us with a more and Mr. Veal hate me for this. I can see us more with a flat midfield 3. And you've got an Arblaster or a Peck who will carry it forward, and then you've got somebody who will literally just sit and hold, and then Vinny will sort of play alongside that. I hate the expression, but maybe it becomes almost like a bit of a double pivot, but he won't be as expected to do the defense so much defensive work.
It's a bit like when we had Lundstrom, Norwood, and Fleck, that type of balance. Because Lundstrom did a lot of running, and Fleck would just sort of be that kind of middle ground player where he'd be defensive, but then he'd sort of go and attack, and then Norwood obviously ping it in. So it's that kind of thing where it's probably more defensive suited for the Premier League.
And it won't put so much pressure on his legs. Because it didn't on Norwood, really. I know he lost his legs completely pretty much at the end for us at that level. But it doesn't require quite as much of that up and down.
It's going to be interesting to see how some of the players cope with, because there's a lot of talk from Ruben himself and from people that are talking about him, about this intensity out of possession and this press, which is great and exciting and is something that most of us would love to see. But you think about players like Gus, who, would be subbed off a lot between 60 and 70 minutes. Vinny would have spells out of the team with little issues and things. So we've got a few players like that, and 1 or 2 players that, key players that don't finish games on a regular basis. You just wonder how many of them will cope with the shift in style as well. And they're 2 examples of that, really. Not saying they're not capable of it. But it's going to be interesting to see, where it'll separate, those that can cope with it from those that can't very early on, I think.
It's kind of what I'm getting at. If you expect a high intensity game, you're pressing, Gus couldn't do 70 minutes, we weren't doing that. How many minutes are you going to get out of him when you are?
Yeah.
You just don't know. They might get him fitter. I'd love to see him fitter. I adore the fella. But you just don't know what you're going to get out of him, do you?
No, there's a downside, isn't there? Because he can win you a game. I mean, I remember lots of times last season, we'd win a game 1-0 through an assist from Gus or a free kick. And there were moments, weren't there, where he'd turn it for us, and that's what you get with him. But I suppose with most players there's a downside, and that would be his, really, probably that conditioning.
I will say I'm only around the corner from Gus. I think I've said it before, but he's known to go to the kebab shop and the local Chinese not all the time, but enough where you can tell that he goes there, and that's why you've heard it more often than not that United have him on a strict diet in-house.
Jim, that's a statement. That
it's not a statement. It's a fact. I'm sorry. I've had people take pictures with him outside a takeaway called Fat Sam's multiple times. My mate works in the Chinese down the road, and he sees him in there, or one of his mates who also works there in there every now and again. His brother works in Fat Sam's. So,
Jamie, we're just going to have to hope Ruben's not watching this.
Just sold him down the river.
I've asked Gus when we went to play at Dual Wars, and he said, "Yeah, I go there every now and again." So he's not afraid to admit it. He even said on the Arblaster recovery video, "Yeah, I'm getting rid of that belly. Don't you worry, guys."
Right, so just putting that, I'm going off really left and right about. You know, they all get pinch tested and fat body composite and all that. They go into that sort of detail, obviously, for minor gains and things like that. He will literally be told, you do this or else you're gonna get this, you're gonna get fined, etc., etc. They get pinch tested. If they go up 1 or 2% body fat, the clubs, because obviously it's a professional game, will get absolutely slaughtered. I can't see it being in the kebab house every freaking night.
Not every night. It's like every like I don't want to do him dirty. I probably already have done, but
you've already told me down the river, mate.
It's not like every other night. Like it's every now and again, nice treat for himself.
You know, if you're going to sell him for 30 million, it's just dropped 10 million.
Just to keep him in kebab. Right, well, right. Lee's done us an absolute solid on the next question. I'm coming to you, Charlie, first on this one. Yeah, you'll like this. It's a good one. Replace the one you sold, but for 10 million or less.
So I was going to sell Vinny.
I don't know you get for 10 million. I'm not very good at this myself, to be fair.
10 mil.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm going to have to pass on this to the guys because I wouldn't have a clue.
I think Lee's had her eyes out, to be honest with you, putting 10 million where he's on about selling players that are like 20, 30 million plus players. He's had our eyes out.
I'll have a go. I'll tell you what I would do, because I agree. I can't remember who made the comment earlier about players that could drop back and kind of do that role or some kind of hybrid version of it. I would take the money, not replace him with a complete like for like. I'd go and get Hamza for a lot less than 10 million, bring him back, and then you've got a utility player. You can play in midfield and he's a better right back for me. I prefer him at right back. That's what I would do with it, and you probably get him for a fraction of that. And we've got great midfielders at the club anyway. I think that's why really I'm tilting towards I would sell Vinny, because I think we've got a stacked midfield anyway, and players that could do the job.
Can I sell Vinny? Say he's a centre half, and then buy Suter instead.
No.
Well, Lewis has just effectively sold him and bought a right back. So
well, that's my fault. I thought it was all games go here.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. I'll sell him and buy Poku.
Poku's on a free, so you don't need
to.
There's no such 10 million. It's fine.
No such thing as free, is there?
That is true.
Well, yeah.
I suppose you could change your mind and sell Gus and get Rodoni.
That's what I was going to say, but we still don't know how he's going to play.
Hey.
That's just another player in front of Callum O'Hare because they're both in same position, like for like.
That's that point.
Do you sell Vinny and go and get Tommy Doyle?
Oh,
I
that's a
was just going
shout.
to say that.
That's the one.
Shout.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Can I suggest a few? Because I've got a list.
Ooh.
Have you got a list?
I made it
How have you that prepared that you don't know what the question's going to be and you've got a list of answers for it?
This is players that I wanted.
Just off it, Jamie. You know. That's
bear in mind, this is players that I wanted United to go for when Wilder were here. So
hang on. Stop. How big is that list? Because
I think 30 odd players, maybe at a push.
31 players. You want United?
30 odd, might be more 25, something like that. But the players that I'd probably consider, I'm ignoring Hamza because he's a right back. Who have I got on here? You've got, where are they? Ben Sheaf. You've got Loser from Watford, Tommy Doyle, Josh Brownhill, Rothwell, Dewsbury.
It's a realistic list then.
Yeah. Dewsbury on a loan. Who else you got on here? Tom Kearney. I want to say that's probably about it.
I'll tell you, Josh Brownhill, Flicker. We were looking at him last summer. Because obviously, Burnley were on about not reviewing his contract last season, and we were out for it. Honestly, I'm gutted we missed out on him.
Has he got a club yet?
He's staying at Burnley, I've been told.
A lot of people missed a trick on him, because I live, as I mentioned on the Plat chat quite a bit, I lived down in Bristol, and I went to see Bristol City when he played for them a while back, and I said to a mate of mine, he's a player, and he'll probably end up playing in the Premier League for someone, if not for you. And so I think quite a few other than Burnley missed a trick on him, to be honest. Very good player. Very good.
I think going back to the question, I think Tommy Doyle's the answer. Would be if it was done and we could pick any player under 10 million, I reckon you could get Tommy Doyle. I think if we were in the market for him and both bids were accepted by two different teams, I think he's going to Birmingham. Somebody mentioned Birmingham he might be going to. I've heard that mentioned.
Sunderland, wasn't it?
Sunderland was.
I think Sunderland are only paying a few million and all, but it's that Premier League that he's going for.
And I think he'd pick the Blades over a lot of clubs. I really do. So, yeah. That'll be my pick. But then again, I'll reverse my Hamer. Vinny, please.
So Josh Brownhill, it's not confirmed whether he's staying or leaving or not. Discussions are ongoing, but apparently he is going to exit. But there's nothing concrete yet.
I'm telling you now, if he's on the market, I know his brother very well. His brother's he's in the RAF, so that's how I know him. He's also a good footballer. I'm going to message Browners in a minute, and I'm going to ask him because, honestly, that is a player, and I'm sure everyone agrees that we should, if we could get hold of him, he is absolute class. I can't see. You sure? There's no way Burnley are going to let him go.
He
was quality last season.
But is he good enough to step up to the Prem, especially with what happened last time in the Prem? That's where they're seeing out. That long-term vision. And he's not getting
from last season.
He's about 29 as well.
Well, surely he's good enough to sit on the bench anyway.
Oh yeah, if I'm Burnley, I'm saying keep him at minimum a squad player. But Burnley, they may see we can do better. We can get someone younger. It's stupid, but that might be the way they're seeing it. It may be too expensive potentially wages-wise for the role they're wanting him to be in. So who knows? But if he does go on a free, I mean, United might not even want him because from looks things we're not taking any punts on frees for some reason. Like Jimmy Dunn could have been.
I don't think we'll go. To be honest,
trust me, if that was lined up and somebody said Josh Brownhill wants to come to Sheffield United, do you want him? I'd be very, very surprised if Sheffield United turned around and went nah.
Yeah, I think based on how close we thought Dunn was, and we've not gone down that route, I think we're going a completely different method of recruiting. So I, as much as I would love him to come, I don't think he comes.
No, I don't think he comes either, to be honest with you. I think he stays at Burnley. That's my honest opinion.
Just make sure we don't fall behind on the comments because there's one coming up which I'm going to shame him for. So
I
Pete
think we
Caravan,
find out.
go on.
No, I
What were you
think we
gonna say,
find
Dave?
out all contract situations, including Bruce's, in about 6 days. So that's when all the frees will start moving, probably.
1st of July,
Yeah.
won't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Pete Caravan's back says we're doing great, apparently, which is good to know. Thanks for that. Mr. Morwood, sorry I couldn't be here, Dave. Your first time hosting Hot Topic, but an appointment means I'm out. You'll smash it, mate. Go, Charlie. Well said. Up all the rambles, up the blaze, like and subscribe. At least if you're not watching, you're not going to ruin your past day. Right, he's back. Gaz, one for you. Snog, marry, avoid. Anthony Taylor, Michael Oliver, Andy Mayflower.
Flipping heck.
You don't have to answer that. Unless you
I'll
really
start
want
with the
to.
avoid. I'll start with the avoid. Right?
Yeah.
The question.
Hey! Good, this commenting, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to get him back, and I suggest you all do the same on his next stream. We'll ask him some questions like that.
Yeah,
Something slower in the tone. All joking aside, great to see some new faces tonight. Lewis and Gaz back. Ace to see Charlie finally on the stream, and a big shout out to me for fumbling my way through this. Thank you. That's assuming Gus can't or won't increase his fitness levels. I can't see how anyone wouldn't increase their fitness levels.
It might not feel like he needs to. If he truly feels like he doesn't need to, he's happy at his level and he's happy with his diet, then he'll probably think there's no need for me to do the extra effort when I'm at a great level. I'm happy, and because some people prefer to be like that rather than like trying to stay as fit as possible and everything. And there's nothing wrong with it either. It's just whatever makes you happy.
Let me just pose a question, a work-related question. If you worked in sales and your manager turned around to you and said you need to get better, more proficient at picking up the phone and ringing people you've never spoken to before, would you kind of go, I don't know if I really want to do that. I'm comfortable with how I am, so I'm not going to do it. Or would you kind of push yourself to get to that point? Because the alternative is you go and do a different career.
But if you're already the best and then they're wanting you to be even better than that, that's another case.
No, because every single person on this planet, doesn't matter how good at anything they do, there's always room for marginal gains and marginal development. And you can every day's a school day, as they say.
There are. It's not a case of that. It's a case of whether you got hunger for it. And he may not have the hunger for that. That's why he's not trying to go to like a leader or that potentially.
Do you want him around if he's not got that hunger to make himself better at what he does?
Yeah, because he's already the best player we've got, even without him having that hunger. I mean, his hunger for like getting these great goals and everything, it's just his actual fitness-wise, maybe the thing that's putting him down. But if we can even have that for 60, 70 minutes, that's still potentially enough to get us the game winner. So, and that's what we've had the last season. No one really complained apart from the odd kind of thing where it's saying he could do this better, but we still were happy with what we got.
It depends where he's going to play as well. It depends on Ruben. It's like you said, Dave, you know, he talked about you think eventually he'll fall back and play in a deeper position. That may happen straight away, because when I think about how Ruben wants to play and the sort of players I think he'll probably bring in and the players we've got like O'Hare that he'll probably play further up the pitch to press, you think about it, well, maybe he will want to keep Gus and maybe he'll want to keep him for a slightly deeper role. Quite possible, because of the quality he's got. You know, in a team that presses, it depends on the system, but not every team has every player engaging the press. A lot of teams have a press, and then they have that one player that just kind of floats in the space and is the one that affects the game when you get a breakdown, when you get the ball. Maybe he can be that player for Ruben. Just all depends on how he's going to set up, doesn't it? All depends.
Do you know that Sky Sports article that you mentioned, Charlie? Did he give anything away? Because I've not seen that. Did he give anything away in terms of how you'd interpret his attitude towards?
It did say that he wanted to keep Gus and work round that. Him as the player in the team, he wanted Gus. He doesn't want him to go. He says it's very fluid, this game of football, and how people want to do things, but I want Gus with me on this journey.
Okay,
near enough. So it is a big art. It is a great big article. I will.
What you don't want is anybody that's too comfortable.
Yeah,
do you?
please. I'd love to read that. Sorry, Paul.
Right. What you don't want is anybody that's too comfortable, do you? In any walk of life, if you're too comfortable, you never achieve your best. There's a new manager coming in. You want him to have to prove himself still, which makes him work harder. And if he works harder, you'll get more out of him, and he'll get fitter hopefully as well.
Yeah,
that's just natural. I think too comfortable isn't good.
Yeah,
and I think maybe Gus under Wilder maybe fails. You know, I'm a big fish in a little pond here, and I can get away with what I want to do. I can go down after 70 minutes holding my hamstring, and I'll get a rest for 20.
Haven't there recently been some pictures on Instagram showing him doing a 1-to-1 and being away while everybody else were away holidaying and resting? He's been doing some 1-to-1-ing.
To be fair, I've seen that as well. For Sariki's doing it, Brooks is doing it, and Peck's doing it, and you can see them all absolutely working the socks off. They all look hungry, and Gus especially, because he were doing it early doors as well. I think he went to Turkey, and he were doing it a couple of weeks after season ended. So he looks especially going for it now.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say that about what we don't know though is, and let's be honest, Gus holding his hamstring and everything was a lot at the end of the season, and maybe he was carrying something for the last month to 6 weeks of the season. We don't know that for sure, and maybe that's why he's only been able to last 70 minutes. We've all made. I don't get wrong. I've made the assumption as well. I'm like, I can't last more than 70 minutes. That might not be fully the case. So I say, all the players will be given a pre-season training program to go away and do, guaranteed. And going back to hunger and that, no professional footballer, especially anyone in the football league, and even down to the National League, I'd say, hasn't got the hunger, because they wouldn't make it otherwise. You'd never be at the top echelons of the Championship if you don't have the hunger and desire to be the best you can be, because we've all seen talented footballers that don't make it, and that's because of mindset more than ability sometimes.
I totally agree. So Jim said that Gus as a defensive midfielder terrifies him. So he's obviously not in agreement with me, not for the first time.
He gets more bookings in the attacking midfield if he gets a defensive midfield. Can you imagine?
To be fair, when he was at Cov, he only got, in that sort of like box-to-box role, he only got about 6 bookings. And I think that's only a third what he got in the attacking midfielder role.
Yeah, takes one for the team a lot, to be fair.
Wasn't good, was it? Yeah, Fat Sam's is getting a laugh. Ian says Gus is a big fan of the channel. Cheers, Jamie.
Anytime.
John says, after listening to Ruben's interview, I haven't formed the impression that anybody will be given a free role. This is just go and win the game. Raises questions about Gus. Interesting.
He went on about that, didn't he? He mentioned it's not. I don't want the best player. I don't want the best player with the best stats. I want the best team with the best stats. So
yeah,
it could be a hidden way to talk to individual players and say, look, you might be the best player in the league. You might have the best stats in the league, but that's irrelevant if Sheffield United aren't the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, though, that was the role Wilder chose to play Gus in. Gus may be happy to play more of a team role, potentially.
Yeah, no, you're totally right there, Jim.
Well, yeah, I think he said something like, I think he said he liked playing left wing, but there was some sort of murmurings that maybe he wanted to play the 10 or he wanted to play further back. So who knows? You have to go down to a kebab shop and ask him. I don't know what that means. If anyone who can enlighten me, I don't know.
It's probably to do with when we were on about keep one, sell one type thing.
Okay. Lee, Just Business Guys will use 10 million from your player sale to pay off Wilder, the staff, and get a better AI app that can find players for the first team, not just under 21s, because Siri's not working so far. I thought they were using Football Manager. A Championship Manager, as it was when I played it.
I was going back some.
It certainly is. When you had to, if you wanted to play a foreign league, you had to change the disc.
Yeah. God, I remember that. 97, 98.
Yeah, Jamie's looking well confused about that.
Jamie weren't even born.
No. I don't even know if my parents had met at that point.
They had a Serie A and Serie B disc, didn't they? I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you got the French, the German, and another one on one disc because they weren't that popular. Because Serie A was the league, wasn't it? Then that was the one to watch.
That was a pinnacle, wasn't
it? Yeah. Used the 10 million for 2 top-end midfielders from Europe. I think Modric is available. Darren says, let's hope £30 million man is gone and takes Robbo with him. 30. I'm guessing, does he mean Brewster?
Yeah.
See, that's a topic that I'd give him a contract. Yes, a reduced contract. Let's be honest, we can't pay him what he's been paid. But honestly, I don't know why. I haven't got a clue why.
Neither do I.
I've been beating this drum for like 2 seasons, by the way, saying keep him, keep him, keep him. I don't know. There's just, I think, openly and honestly, from January to the end of the season, I thought he did well. I think he did better than a lot of players. And for me, I'd still keep him. And I know I'll get slaughtered for that.
That's interesting because Matthew says, would we want to re-sign Brewster? For him, it's a big no. So let's quickly go around and go on, Lewis. You go after Gaz and then we'll work our way around.
I'm reluctant. I think I'd be, if it was an extra year to see if we could get something out of him and a massively reduced wage, then maybe. But I'm inclined to say no. We just haven't had enough value out of him, and it's a big enough, sample size to say no for me.
Okay, Clarky.
I genuinely don't know, mate. I don't know what we're trying to achieve yet. I don't know the way we're going to look on the pitch in terms of formation. We've already got 3 strikers that you would expect to be in front of him. Obviously, there's One as well as a 4th striker. So I don't suppose if you kept him, you could let One go out on loan somewhere. But it'd have to be on seriously reduced wages. And I just don't know if you're going to press really, really high up again. Is he that fragile that he can cope with it? Don't know. Those last few months perhaps say no. It's fine. Well, genuinely don't know, mate. Sitting on the fence.
Come on, gun to your head. Yes or no?
No. Absolute downright flat no. No.
Thank you.
Gone.
Thank you. Exactly. Totally agree with that. That's my view.
I can see that method. Generally, can see that method of thinking. I really can. And don't get me wrong. If he went, it would not surprise me. But I think even with how he has been over the last year, that's still probably a 5. I think 10's a push. But a £5 million player that you're just going to go, there you go, see you later. I think even to replace him as a squad player, and I'm not talking about starting, but a squad player, I think it would be stupid just to let him go. And I think Clarky said, the wage needs to be right. But I agree with everyone. They say, yeah, no. But I see it from the other way as well. Maybe I'm just
I've got two more questions for you around this. But Jamie, what did you say for Brewster? Was it a yay or an A?
It's a yes, because what we've got to realise is that this is the first time in a very long time Brewster stayed injury free for a long period of time. Before this, it was injury after injury. He never got going. Since he's come back from his most recent injury, he's been able to build up that form slowly to the point where he's become a very good squad player for us. Not the player that we wanted, but he's also not playing in the role that we even originally bought him for. He's playing in the wing, the number 10 role, sort of like the shadow, like the element type role. He's playing somewhere else, and he's able to build up that confidence as well. And for me, even that Wednesday goal, that was worth every penny. So I think just for all them matters combined, I think you give him something like obviously, as Clarky said, a reduced deal. I think even Brewster realises he will never get that money again at the way he's playing. Potentially like a 2-year deal plus an extra add-on, because he's not going to take a year plus another add-on. That'd be stupid for him to say that, even if he was. Potential 2-year plus another deal, another year. Because it's just, we managed to get him to the point we wanted him to for the first time in a very long time. And he's performing. So that, I think you just got to take him.
Okay. So for the yeses, is it still a yes if it blocks Ryan One's development and stops him having the opportunities that he needs to see if he can become the striker that we all hope?
I think Ryan One needs to go out on loan personally first. He needs to do that. He needs to be doing that a bit lower down the league first. I don't think he's delivered at that level yet. And then maybe he then comes back at the second half of the season, or he stays out for the season. We give Brewster a 1-year deal, and then One then comes back and then hopefully hits the ground area. I think he needs a bit more development personally.
Anyone else?
I could see potentially us letting One go on loan if Brewster stays, and if Brewster leaves, potentially One being stuck. So that could be another reason to keep Brewster as a safeguard, so that in case we get an injury, we're not stuck with no strikers because One's on loan. Brewster's there to like be his last ditch option, even with us playing him in field most of the time.
Okay.
There is a positive, isn't it? He's free, ultimately. He's free, and if you get him on a couple of years, maybe 3 years on a very reduced salary, and after 12 months, if he's doing okay and you think, actually, we're better off moving him on, you might still have a little bit of value off that 24 million, whatever you paid for in the first instance, rather than losing the lot right now. You know, there is that counter argument.
Okay.
So I see people's views. So. See why. See why you say no to it.
By the way, Ian's put in the chat the interview from Sky Sports to RubenSelles. So it's there. So you don't need to do it, Charly.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to read that in a bit. Looking forward to reading that. So next, pondering and it's another striker. If you got offered, let's say $1.5 million for Kiefer Moore, are you accepting it or not?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
I like Kiefer Moore. I think he's a nightmare to defend against. You know, when he's really on it, and we've seen it a few times. I know there was a mistake in the playoff final, crucial mistake, but he's a nightmare to defend against. He's a big, powerful lad, and there aren't too many players that are as athletic as him at that size, as well at our level that you could get to replace him. So I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I agree with Lewis. I think he just gives us a different dynamic. He gives us a different option. Even if he's on the bench and you want to play that way because you want him to hit the ball and you want him to hold it up and take pressure off our defence, for example, I just think he's a different dynamic and a different option to what we've got anywhere else currently.
I echo the same. I struggle to see what you'd get for $1.5 million. You'd get to replace him as well. Full international, plenty of experience. There's going to be times next season that I would expect him to be on the bench more than he's actually starting a game. There's going to be times when you've got to go along and you want somebody to hold it up, you want somebody to knock people about, you're going to need him. And I don't think, is there anything much around there, $1.5 million that you could get with that level of experience? I'm not sure there is.
Great.
Go on, Jamie. You set up a bit, so go on.
There is one player that comes to mind as a sort of like reply.
No. I know what you're going to say. No.
And he's on a free.
No.
He's not even a similar player.
I call this Kiefer Moore a poor man's this man.
You seriously think he's a poor? Wow.
Ollie McBurney. I think Kiefer Moore's a poor man's Ollie McBurney. I really do.
Jamie,
somewhere, Andy the Blade is just sat there and he's gone. Something terrible has happened.
He's punched a laptop.
Yeah.
I do think McBurney would be a better choice over Keith Moore. And plus, Ollie McBurney, last time I remember, didn't cost us 200 million. Sorry, 203 million and 500,000. Ollie McBurney costs slightly less in 20 million. But this would be coming back on a free. And Ollie McBurney is, I don't know how to describe it. I just like the bloke for some reason.
Yeah, I like Ryan Brewster, but I wouldn't re-sign him.
Well, I would. So there we go.
Yeah. But so I was sat watching your reactions, and I was watching you, Charlie, and I just saw. Oh, go on.
No.
Give him some back for that ludicrous suggestion, please.
Flipping heck, I like Ollie McBurney's legs, but I just, I just wouldn't have him back on that. No, I can't. I'm speechless. No.
Oh yeah, I bet here's one for you. McBurney or Brewster? For those that said no to Brewster. Go on, Dave.
I'm going last. Let me go last. Go on. You're not here for me.
It'd have to be Brewster. It'd have to be Brewster, wouldn't it?
I think I'll go Brewster.
Lewis?
Very difficult. Availability is a problem with both. I'd actually go McBurney. I think slightly more availability over the time they played for us, and I quite like a big aggressive centre forward. I like that little bit of aggression and poophousery that he gives us. So I'm going to say McBurney pips him for me.
Okay, Jay.
I mean, probably Brewster just because of the age and the potential. If he does become what we hope he does, selling value. I mean, if we do sell Ryan, you said it yourself, Dave, to me. We wish him all the best. We all hope the bloke does well. That he's nothing personal at all.
Yeah. I'm going to say McBurney only because we know what he is, and I don't think we really know what Ryan is, because that's why he's ended up playing a bit in the 10 and a bit out wide, a bit up front. So for that reason, and it's purely for that reason, I wouldn't sign either, if I'm honest. That would be the way I would go.
We just lost Jimmy about 1,000 subscribers doing that.
You just won't put it out to the general public, so it's fine.
This conversation has solely stopped it going public.
Yeah, you can cut this bit out.
That's it. Statman Jack says Gus has definitely been pushing himself to increase his fitness. He's been training the whole time he's been away in Turkey in his Blades gear too. Pete Campervan, Gus is a professional footballer and should want to improve his fitness levels. That said, Gus has the ability to get the team up the pitch with one pass of the ball. He has a part to play. I agree with that. Lee, I would agree, Jim, regarding Gus as a defensive midfielder, but as a deep playmaker, it could work a la Pirlo, but he would still need a ball winner with him. Pirlo had Vidal. Oh, God, I can't even try and say that name. Marquisio and Gattuso. Oh, Rino Gattuso.
It's a bit like a Ollie Norwood type role, I think.
Yeah.
So just pinging in.
Yeah.
Because Norwood he was never known for like his big tackles or all like that. And to be fair, I don't actually remember him doing that sort of defensive work. It was just the passes. I remember the main defensive part I remember him doing is getting bodied by one of Villa strikers. I can't remember who it is now. What was it? I don't know who it were, but he got absolutely Hail Mary'd into like one of advertising boards in Championship.
Yeah. The main defensive work I remember for Norwood, rather than pulling somebody's shirt or tackling from behind as he went past him.
Yeah. Agree.
So Gus's perfect skill set.
Yeah, absolutely fair. Mark Meldrew says, and that's Hot Topic, ladies and gentlemen, with your host, Jamie Dumpling. Get Gus a dog. I've lost 3 stone in 2 years. Put it down to regular dog walking, says Pete Campervan. Totally agree with that one. Did the same for me. Brett the Positive Blade, watch along and Behind the Ramble tomorrow night. Man City versus Juve. Little ad for it. No Haribo comments. Pure football. Hope to see you all there. We'll see about the no Haribo comments now you've said that.
Shameful advertising.
I know.
Starting it off now.
Darren says, yes, Brewster, easy to play well when you're out of contract for 35k a week. I can be good in the dressing room and around the lads. In fact, I do it for 10 grand a week and as much Haribo as I thought. That is important.
Is it an important time to mention that other confectionery is available as well?
Supermarket.
Yeah. Here says, Gaz knows ball, keep Brewster. No comment. Pete Campan, who put the ball in the Wednesday net? Ryan Brewster. He's not got the goals he was brought in to get, but his link-up play has been good. Agree with JD. He has improved and could improve further. I don't think. I think he had a good second half of the season. I just think it's time to move on for both parties. It's not he's terrible, I want him gone by any means from me. Mark says, great to see you on stream, Charlie, for the first time. Hopefully not the last one.
Thank you.
There will be all on strict fitness plans. Every player will need to come back in good physical shape. Yep. Darren says, I keep Big Keith, but seeing as our players couldn't cross the road, I don't think he's been fully utilised. When he hit that purple patch for Ipswich, they shock horror across the ball. Yeah, I don't think we've played to his strengths because I don't think his first touch is the best. But so yeah, I'd agree.
I know a similar player whose first touch is actually quite good.
I knew you was going to say that, you know.
Okay, but he could only hit the ball in one box. So I don't think we need to tell any of our players. Be interesting to see the difference Sayers can do with the same squad but different style, new signings for development and rotation. I think that's a really important point, Pete Campervan. We don't know how the squad's going to develop over the next few weeks. I think it's going to happen quite quickly. I think once it starts, I think we'll start to see quite a lot of incomings and see it start to shake shape. Maybe the loans will be later on. Our last comment. And then I've got a really important question. So, question for the panel. Who is the one player that was involved last season, and excluding Jack Robinson, who will be a casualty of Ruben's new style of play? And that's a really interesting hypothetical one. Who wants to start us off?
And now.
Ooh, okay.
No,
okay.
Mainly down to his contract, but potentially we sort of saw it not last season, Premier League season, when we had Anel. He didn't down tools, but it was one of them where when it got tough, he sort of didn't really like it. And I know that he had tough times personally, but I don't know that it just something seemed off there. So potentially it could be Amarin's system where potentially Anel just may try and push for a move or something. I don't know, but it just something seems off about potentially Anel next season. And I don't know why. And I don't like it.
Interesting. It's an interesting shout, that.
It's a difficult one because with all the loan players we had, and you're excluding Robinson, there's not much left to choose from.
Yeah.
Like if you think about, for example, on the right-hand side, you'd got Raksaki playing, you'd got Brooks playing at times, Keith would play sometimes. More often than not, it's going to be Campbell, so you're not going to let him go. Vinny, I can't see he'd be a casualty. He's a regular. Gus is a regular. A right back was eventually a loan player. Burrows is the only consistent left back player. I can't even think of much you could swap.
The only one I'll say, and it'll depend on how he's going to set up, but I would still have him involved. Might be O'Hare if he's going to play with a 10. But that's not a casualty out of bad performance. That might just be that he doesn't fit the profile that the squad he wants. But high press, creativity.
He's going to start that, isn't he?
Well, you'd hope so. You know, he'd be involved, but I think Anel's a good shout.
I think Andre Brooks might struggle to get in the team. I like Andre, and he's a good player, but he's got kind of a languid, relaxed style, body language. I can't imagine him in like an intense high press all the time. So I think he's one that could be in trouble in terms of team selection.
I'm going to go Sariki. If I right back Sariki, I'm going to say Sariki. Simply because if you are pressing really high, then you're going to have to be very solid at the back, and that's not him.
But then do you play him on the right?
Well, that's another position into it. It's the right back.
I think Sariki's good going forward. Me, I don't think he's a right back. Me personally, that's just my opinion, though. I know he is a right back, but I see him playing further forward. For me, I'm kind of with you, Clarky. I said at the start, I said I'd keep the nucleus of the squad, and to be honest, Robbo, I wouldn't get rid of anyone yet. I really wouldn't. It'd be like last minute deals when we've got people to replace the people that he wants to let go. Like you can't let Andre Brooks go, for example, unless you bring somebody in. But I believe I'm saying with you, he could be a casualty from this because I don't think he's consistent enough. And if we pull another person into his position from outside the club, he's going to go down the pecking order, and he can't afford to do that himself currently because otherwise it's going to absolutely knacker his development. So me personally, I wouldn't get. I don't think there's anyone. I really don't. I'd keep pretty much everyone. We've lost all them loan players. Let's replace them with permanent signings if we can, and then where we haven't got the financial clout or the people that we want aren't coming into the club that are on permanent deals, let's go out and get the loan deals to then build the squad that way, rather than I think the nucleus of squad, we got 92 points last season. That's the nucleus of our squad, 92 points. Any other season that would have got us up. So let's not rip it apart and start selling players unless they want to go. They don't sit into Ruben's way, as in, and I don't mean way of players so as much. I'm thinking his methodically, wrong words. His way of thinking, basically, as in team player, not all about one individual. I wouldn't get rid of anyone really at the moment. Really won't.
Am I the only one that thinks Tariq is actually not that bad at defending and tracking back?
I just think
his speed gets him out of a lot of problems. He's a bit Kyle Walker-y in that sense.
I was going to say
that's not a bad thing.
His raw pace has got him out of trouble more than once, and I like him. I think he offers us a lot going forward. He's a nightmare for the opposing fullback. But yeah, I think his recovery runs get him out of trouble a lot.
That's not a bad thing.
Right, so I'm conscious we've gone an hour. I've got a few more comments to read, and then I'm going to ask you all I want a one-word answer to finish on. But has anyone got anything they want to cover off or bring up before we finish?
I just say I'm really excited. Really, 1st of July is next week. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with great enthusiasm. You know, it's been a wonderful few years under Mr. Wilder, and I really appreciate everything that he's given us. But it's time to move on. We haven't made that decision; it's been made for us. Embrace it.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I think it's just it's a changing of the guard, and at times are changing. You know, it's the end of an era. New methods and new ways of doing things are coming in, and they've got the man that they feel can execute that. I mean, I was reading something about him that he worked as when he was in Norway, around about 2015, I think it was. He was chief data analyst at a club, so they've obviously looked at him and identified him as someone that fits within their framework and model for doing things, and there's nothing we can do about it, as you say. We've just got to get behind it and hope that it pays dividends for us.
I kind of echo them bits, but one thing I would say is obviously fixtures are out tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. To be honest, I want to see who we've got around Christmas, who that first game of the season is, etc., 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 and then see when we get them piggies from down the road. We can smash them. They've got a stadium that's good enough. That's if they've got a team, etc., etc.
First game of
Absolutely.
season, screaming Wrexham Friday night is something stupid, or Norwich
Away.
Monday night away,
Yeah.
all of them away. Just something
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. I'm just going to cover these off, and then I say I've got one quick question to finish on. So Ian says it's the Norwood roll, not the Pirlo roll. Quite right, Ian. He says he's like Brewster. I thought we killed the best of him, but he's only averaging 18 touches per game despite his improvement. This won't work in say as a style. Might be a good point. Darren, with Leicester apparently imploding financially, would you go back for Chowdhury or the Cave Troll? Super. Yeah, not until he's fit. It would be my answer to that. Lee, agree with Lewis. Brooks would be a casualty if anyone. He has all the physical attributes, but technically he's poor. The number of times his first touch lets him down is way too high. Oh, I've gone back one. Pete says that he'd like to see Chowdhury back. Jimmy says, absolutely brilliant panel. Well done all. Even me, he's going to change his mind when I say something in a minute. And Rick, still the last comment. So Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, winning promotion, then to buy British players. Only playing British player types doesn't work. Well, we aren't doing the same thing, are we now? We're doing something completely different, and I think that's the exciting bit ahead.
That's how we found it now.
Exactly that. So, quick question, and then we'll finish up. But so you've gone into the chip, eh? You've bumped into Gus. Who's getting his. Clarky knows what's coming, so you're not answering this, right? So you've gone into the chippy. You've got your order, and you're not taking it home, so you've got to buy a drink to go with it. There's only one right answer to this. What drink?
Dandelion and Burdock.
Gaz, go first.
I've lived down south too long. Oh, jeez. Only one answer for this. I don't know. Fanta.
Yeah. Wrong.
Fanta. Yeah,
Lewis,
I knew it'd
did
be
you
wrong.
shout up before? You shouted out before?
Dandelion
Yeah.
and Burdock.
Correct.
All day.
Charlie?
Dandelion what?
I'm
What, you
just
don't know
a
what dandelion
water
and
girl,
burdock?
I'm afraid. Just water.
You're a what, sorry? Water.
Just water. Plain water, yeah.
Wrong. Jamie?
Drink water. Healthiest thing
Wrong.
out there.
Well, I can't remember what you said on the coach, Clarky.
Well, what I said was, I kind of agreed. We always had Dandelion and Burdock, but we always have it. But so the second one option's always been Shandy Bass as well.
Shandy
Semi-acceptable.
what?
Big time.
Shandy Bass.
Shandy Bass.
In English,
I remember Shandy Bass.
And I told you he would totally change his mind when I asked that.
What did Jimmy
Not
say?
sure know. I don't know. Irrelevant.
We're not Dandelion and
It was
Burdock.
wrong, weren't it? Whatever it was.
Yeah, we're wrong. Anyway, so I just want to say an absolute massive thank you to you guys for coming on tonight and being part of the first time that I've done this and taking away a lot of the pressure and the nerves. Looking forward to the season ahead with you all. So yeah, I suppose in true Ramble style, I should say, come on, you red and white wizards.
What was it?
Overboard.